Hi guys, I'm Michał Raczyński. I've been in game dev for 15 years. I've worked on, I think, more or less 70 projects. I've been involved as a producer, project manager, as a tester, and a release manager. And today I would like to give you some takeaway about accessibility in video games, because I started to observe some patterns we can use as indie developers or AAA developers, how to make games accessible for everybody. So, accessibility comes from the future, because when Skynet sent Arnold to Los Angeles in 1984, we can see a scene where he's reading a handwritten note about the premises of Sarah Connor, and you can see that we already have the text transcript as we have in the video game notes when you pick up collectibles. So I think this is where it all started. There was a movie about this, so I'm sure it's true. But seriously, if you're looking for any accessibility resources, now everybody is using this tag. The 11 is just symbolize the number of letters between the A and Y, but everybody still reads it as accessibility. And I want you to know that around 19 gamers have some kind of a disability, and 70% of people are using accessibility options in video games. In general, that's 1 billion players and growing. And we have to make a distinction that accessibility needs doesn't equal disability. Let me give you an example. Sometimes I play Super Mario Wonder with my daughter, and she's getting better at this, but she's not still a perfect player. So we have a accessibility need option, so you can have a special character like Yoshi or the rabbit guy who doesn't take damage, but they don't transform with the power-ups, but the kid can play with you. So it's accessible for everybody. There are 4 types of accessibility features. We got visual, so it might be a bigger font size. It might be a screen reader. We got auditory stuff, so you can have a text cues for audio elements or audio description. Also, the third one is cognitive. So maybe you want to describe the mission objective clearly in the video game, or have a highlight for interactive objects. And the last one is motor, so it's controller customization or the possibility to disable the haptic vibration feedback in the controller. As I was looking into games, we have a list of things that are becoming a standard now. And what is surprising, I think, it all started heavily with indie devs and their innovative ideas for accessibility. So, for example, in Tunic, you have this no-fail mode. Tunic is a relatively difficult gameplay, has relatively difficult gameplay elements, but you can have a no-fail mode. Hyperdot supports different controllers and eye tracking. Dead Cells has an amazing customization for colors on screen. Celeste, Boltgun, and Hades have a God mode or assist mode when you can enjoy the game without stress. When I work with developers, I often tell them it's important to give players a choice, and I show them this picture. The first one is the color range a person without any visual impairment sees. And the other one is a person with pteranopia. And as you can see, they're both the same. So if you don't have this impairment, it's hard to say when you're designing a particular feature, because normally it will look like this, more or less, for people with this visual impairment. So it's better to give people a choice. For example, you have it in Far Cry 6, where you can decide on each element, for example, in this case, the highlight. So a person can select the color they prefer to see. Instead of doing the whole overlay filter for the game that especially during the development process, it just looks very different. Another good example is Back 4 Blood, where you can just change everything in the game. So the idea is accessibility isn't just for players with disabilities. We want everybody to benefit from it, like creating a smoother and more intuitive experience. And I wanted to bring like a little blueprint for you guys so we can start introducing more options. So it should all start with like the boot screen and splash screen, and then going to the first game configuration, starting a new game, and a few things outside of the box. So when you boot a title, it's advised to have all those like warnings for photosensitivity, violent graphic content, or maybe other like phobia-related elements. And then when we're in the main menu, it's good to have the screen reader by default and ask the players if they want to have it or not. Going through the standard brightness settings, color filters, as I mentioned. So it's better to have it like customizable for every element. And then moving on, there's also like a big thing, being able to disable the motion blur, because many people get some kind of sickness while playing with motion blur. Moving through the subtitles. So now as a standard is to have subtitles, to have the subtitles opacity. Additional stuff is like speaker name color. Also okay, I got the subtitle color. Moving through the controller customization. I mean, like in the past, the devs were a bit scared to let people break the controls, assigning like not so common buttons to it, but now everybody, I think, let go, and we just try to let people configure the controller as they wish to play. Another new thing is replacing button holds with button presses or other way around, because some players might have a difficulty with like putting enough pressure or holding the button for a set amount of time. And then, as I mentioned, controller vibration, just to have it like on and off. So, some stuff for like the audio people, like mono output mode, so like you can just listen with one ear. The Last of Us was famous for introducing like high contrast filter, so this is like a big thing now, and I think more and more games are using this one to improve the visibility and like make the like cognitive patterns more recognizable during gameplay. Also, like Tekken 8 has this one. So as you can see, like there's a lot of like configuring before starting the actual game. Also, some developers pack it in some presets, so like motor motion, hearing presets, so they have like all the options already being enabled when you select the preset. And once we are in the main menu, it's good to have like the accessibility put in like a clear place. As you can see, like the icon is different, the color is different, so it is easier for players to find it and like reconfigure it to their needs. And when we start a game, we mentioned like special difficult modes, the difficulty description, so you can play it as you want it, maybe some assisted mode to enjoy the gameplay experience. Baldur's Gate is doing an amazing thing with that one, where you can like configure the difficulty mode with basically everything. And yeah, this is like for the Dark Souls people, like it's good to be able to pause the game during gameplay. This is also a thing. And when I'm thinking outside of the box, I think like the industry is facing a problem right now, because we have different shops, we have different digital media to buy the games from, and it's really hard to do informed purchase decisions on some platforms, and it affects like trust and transparency. Let me show you an example. So if you're looking on Steam, you have no like accessibility options information where you're like buying a game. Sony and Microsoft have their like menus where you can look it up in the digital store, but still it's not that all the options are already listed there, and it should be done on the for consoles should be done the like certification submission process where like the compliance specialist fills in or the release manager fills in the metadata for the game, so you can put all the options in. So we have like two problems. We might not have any information like on eShop or like Epic, or sometimes like the game has the information but it's not listed even though it's available in gameplay. So yeah, I think like maybe some changes will happen like to standardize this. I've seen like many developers now on Steam, for example, putting in all the accessibility options inside of the like product description, but it still would be nice to have it like all the controller support and other features available. If you want to look into some resources, there's like game accessibility guidelines, where there's like a lot of resources how to make the games accessible. Can I Play That is an awesome website where people review games and look into accessibility. So like, and you know, the categories I mentioned. The Xbox guidelines is pretty cool because you can get a free, I think it's like 3 or 4 hours training on accessibility, how to start with this. And yeah, and you get some other resources. You can like have a screenshot or I leave the presentation for you guys. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
And you get a gift.
What a surprise, thank you.
Yeah. Also a big surprise to me. Any questions? We have time for one. I'm flying. So.
Yeah, thank you. Aren't you afraid also to overwhelm the player then with the accessibility settings? Because I so often get overwhelmed with settings, even though it's important to have those settings. And recently I figured out that I literally make one of games that right now I'm playing way better for me if I set something up a little bit, like mod the game basically. But it's in the settings already, like they basically allow modding, but they put it in a setting. So, but it's overwhelming. Like I didn't notice that because I got overwhelmed already for just looking at the list of so many things. Like,
I mean, like I've looked into, and we made some research on my company, and we looked into like 200 games with like I think 800 players. And like the majority people prefer to be informed what kind of things can I set up when I start the game. Maybe it's caused by the like informed purchase decisions. And that's why we recommend putting that in, because people have really trouble finding this with all the options. I think it could have solved this if a person bought the game looking at the options, okay, it got this and this and this, so I'm good with that. So now we're sticking with like information bomb for now to see how it will play out. Yeah.
Okay, give it up one more time, please.
Thank you.